Almost every successful person has had to deal with some degree of hardship. How successful you are is really a function of how you deal with failure. And if you deal with failure well and you persist, you have a high probability of being successful.
See this reel right here? Why not spend the next 1 hour learning how to make it instead of scrolling shorts? We're gonna cover everything in detail, and at the end of the video, I'll show you some spicy tricks to turn it from this to this. You with me? Let's do it. Okay, so in After Effects, we're just gonna create a new composition. I choose these settings right here. Make sure the duration is the same amount of your audio clip that you're gonna use. Okay. So now I'm going to go to project and I have these assets right here. You can find them in the description. I'm just going to drag this real audio right here. Zoom out a bit.
Almost every successful person.
Okay, so for the first scene, I'm just going to go to our reference video. And you can see for the first scene, we just have this right here. So Steve Jobs and his shape behind him. We're going to add that right now. Just bring in the picture of Steve Jobs, scale it up a bit. And now what I'm going to do is add this effect right here called Luma Key. Don't add any other type because you have a white. The white is what we're trying to key out. So for that, we're just going to go and click key out brighter and just make the value one less number than the maximum value. So that'll be 154. This exactly. And now you can see that we have a little spot right here because this happens to be a very bright area. So it's being keyed out. What you want to do is just edge feather and crank it up a bit. Now you can see we have a little bit of an outline we don't want. Just add the simple choker and crank it up a bit. And now I think we have this effect right here. I think this looks good. We can maybe just play around with the edge feather and the choker mats until you achieve something that you're satisfied with. However, I have to say that if you're working on a professional project, I suggest that you do it by hand and just mask out the object. But for now, this will do because this is just, a tutorial and I'm just trying to show you the animation. So this looks good for now. Okay, so what we want to do now is just turn this into 3D and then let's add a shape behind Steve Jobs. Make a quick rectangle. Something like this. Okay, now I'm going to add fill and take out the stroke. Boom. We're going to call it background shape and turn it into 3D. I'm going to add some roundness. So go to content rectangle and then add a value like 60, let's say. And then what I want to do is kind of make Steve Jobs not extend above the shape. So for that, we're just gonna take the Steve Jobs layer and go under track mat and take this, drag it onwards onto this one right here. So boom, and now just make it visible again and we have the effect that we want. Now what I'm gonna do is, if you take a look at this, you can see that it's kind of feathered out. And we can achieve that by simply adding a mask. So let's go to mask, click new mask. If you just try to mask it out the normal way, it's just gonna add another shape onto the already existing shape. We don't want to add a shape, we want to add a mask. So just right click on it, mask, new mask, boom, and you have a new mask outlined right here. What I'm gonna do is go to mask, make sure I'm on mask path to be able to move this collectively, all these points. And then what I'm gonna do is I think you can do this like mask expansion. But that's not really practical. What I want to do is just select something other than mask path, for example mask feather, and while clicking shift just drag this to the left and drag this to the right to create some space. You can even drag these. And that's because we're going to add feather and we don't want these layers to collide in any unwanted manner. We're going to add some feather. That looks good. And then we invert the mask. Boom. That looks amazing. Now, we're going to go to the real shape. And as you can see, we have like a gradient color right here. We can add that by just adding this effect called gradient ramp. right? Sorry, gradient ramp. Good. Let's just add it right here. For the black color, we're gonna put it right here. Let's see. So we have start of ramp. This is gonna be white, and end of ramp. This is gonna be black. And then the end is going to be, let's see where it is. It's going to be right here, around right here. And the start is going to be at the center. And now we want to turn it into radial ramp. So let's adjust the end value. Something like this. And we can crank up blend with original. This is like your decrease in opacity a bit. And now I want to crank up this value right here to just add some. It just adds a cool grain effect. So I'm going to go with 80. That looks good. Amazing. Okay, now we're gonna just zoom out and start creating our text. So the text says almost every person, almost every successful person. The single word right here is just a mistake. If we listen to the audio,
Almost every successful person.
right, so almost every successful, then we're gonna turn this into white. Sorry, we're gonna go to properties. What the hell is happening? Yeah, so properties right here, and then go to enter thin, maybe something like extra light, and the extra light italic might work better, or light italic. Then turn it into white. Make this value 0 or even minus, like something like 30, and bring it down. And now we're gonna bring position right here, right? Turn it into 3D. And now I'm gonna just copy this, paste it, and type in person. For the next layer, we're just gonna make it bold, not whatever, bold, black, just make it bolder than the first one. We can crank up the size a bit more, or we can just leave it at that and turn this into something a bit stretched out, and just reposition it to be exactly below that. Let's look at that. Okay, so they're aligned, completely aligned. So let's just crank this up a bit more. Boom. And now what we're gonna do is parent the person layer to the almost successful text. Boom. And now we're just gonna start animating. So
Almost
let's see.
Every successful.
Okay, so for the text, let's just animate it by using our presets. So this preset right here, I have it. It's like my own preset. I made it. I'm just gonna drag it onto this one right here.
Almost every successful person.
Okay, so right here, let's first bring the marker right here, and then let's press U.
Almost every.
You can press select everything, press Alt, and go to the last keyframe and drag it to the right to stretch the animation.
Every successful.
So as he's saying
Successful
successful, the word successful is being animated, so it's synced in. You can drag it inward a bit to kind of make the animation more compact. And now we're gonna get the person text and just use this preset right here. Fade up, words. This right here is a free preset, default preset that exists in After Effects. As long as you have After Effects, you're gonna have it.
Special person has had.
Okay, this looks good.
Special person has had to deal with some degree. Has had to deal with.
So about right here, the animation is gonna end.
Has had to deal with.
Okay, now what we're gonna do is animate the shape. So we're gonna go to scale. You can animate it so you can see that in the shape we have 2 transforms. I always recommend that you go to content, rectangle, and start animating from this one. We also have this one, so it could get a bit, tricky, but either from this one or this one doesn't really matter, but don't animate from this one. Because if you decide to add another shape, then it's gonna be also impacted by this layer right here. And now the other shape that you're going to add is going to have its own transform layer, its own roundness, its own position, attributes. So just animate the ones of that particular shape you're trying to achieve that effect on. So what I'm going to do right now is I only want to animate the Y position. So I want something like this. Click this icon to detach these attributes from each other so we can animate the Y position in isolation. We're going to go around half a second. Create another keyframe. Go to the first one and turn it into 0. Now we bring up the graph and just do something like this. And we're going to copy our expression. So now we're just going to paste our expression right here and see how that looks.
Almost every successful person.
Okay, so it's bouncy. It looks good. I like it.
Almost every successful person.
Okay, now one last animation we have to do is this. We have to animate Steve Jobs kind of punching upwards towards his final position. So around right here is going to reach his final position. And here he's just going to be very low, right? We're going to do something like this.
Almost every successful.
Okay, that's too harsh. See how it does now?
Almost every successful. Almost every successful.
Okay, let's stretch out the animation by a bit. So right here, let's see what that does. Okay, that looks better. We can drag this out a bit.
Almost every successful person.
Good. Now, in the animation, this is really optional, but we're gonna add it anyway. In the animation you saw, we have a little bit of a pen tool animation right here. So we're gonna add that. Go to the puppet pen tool and just add 2 points. That's all we're gonna need. Go a couple frames, about 1 second, and just animate that going to the right. Okay, so we need a bit more points than I thought. So what we're gonna do is just add points throughout the whole body to just kind of pin it to its original position. And now after 1 second, we're gonna bring this right here. Boom, amazing. Now we're gonna select this layer, press U to bring out all the keyframes that this created, and just go another second and copy them, go another second and copy them to create a loop. Let's take a look at it. It's a bit clunky, moving from side to side. So we can fix that easily by just selecting everything, pressing F9 to ease the keyframes. If we take another look at it now, the animation looks good. If you want to make the animation faster, select everything, Alt, and bring it right here. If you want to make it slower, stretch it up a bit. Just make sure you're holding down Alt, okay? Now, collapse everything. Let's see what we have.
Successful person has had to deal with some degree.
Yeah, I wanna kind of stretch it out a bit. The animations of the keyframes, because they're too. Let's see, they're just locked for some reason. Pretty sure I accidentally pressed something, but let's recollect this one. Let's see. Yeah, so we have to click this, I guess. Let's just select everything to slow down the animation. We're just gonna press Alt as I told you earlier and stretch this out a bit. Let's see how it looks now.
Person has had to deal with some degree of hardship. How
looks a lot better.
successful you are is really a function.
Okay, it looks a lot better. Now we're gonna add a camera and start our zoom out animation. Boom, and then create a null object. Connect the camera to the null object after we turn it into 3D. Just call this one zoom out. Sorry, we're gonna take this out. For the position, we're just gonna keyframe it at first, as always, and then
with some degree of
listen to the audio clip and define our next position.
Has had to deal with.
So about right here for me, it's gonna do well. Boom, zoom out a bit. We're gonna create a next text to kind of adjust the zoom out to be zooming out into it. So first, let's create our second text. It's gonna be has
had to deal with some degree of hardship. Has had to deal with some degree of hardship.
Okay, so has had to deal with some degree of hardship. Have had to deal with some degree of hardship. Select everything, see what we wrote. Okay, let's correct the mistakes. And now this one is gonna be something like this. Stretch it out, stretch it out, stretch it out. Bring it right here. And this one is just gonna make it something like bold, or yeah, just bold or semi-bold. And bring it to 0, crank it up. In order to bring these two text lines closer, we just play around with this right here. Okay? Okay. So now bring this right here, turn it into 3D, and we're gonna crank up the Z value or crank it down just to kind of make this go towards the camera, and center it. Bring it up to be right here. And now what I'm going to do is, for the zoom out animation, I'm going to make this kind of center it towards the camera, right? So this is creating a bit of a problem right here. So what I'm going to do is just give this, let's see where this is positioned. Steve Jobs, bring up position. It's at 0. So they're not going to be too far away from each other. This is going to be at like -500. Yeah, but the scale is going to be a hell of a lot more. Okay, now we're going to bring up position and crank this down. Maybe even at -600. Right. Now if I bring up position, you can see that the Steve Jobs picture moves with it because they're close to each other. So there's not a lot of camera depth that's messing up the animation, right? Good. Now let's see.
Almost every successful person has had to deal with some degree.
Okay, now we're just going to do this.
Person has had to deal.
Stretch this out, and when he says has had to deal, that's where the animation is gonna really crank up. So about right here,
Has had to deal with. Almost every successful person has had to deal with.
Right, so about right here, everything is gonna kind of show. And now what I feel like doing is just scaling this up by a bunch and making it towards the camera even further, and then scaling it up a bit more. Bring up position, make it in the center. Let's see how that looks. Okay, that looks a bit too yeah, let's just reset everything. Okay, that looks good. Let's just crank up size. Boom. I think that looks good. Let's take a look at the graph one more time just to make sure what we're doing. So, sorry, this is gotta be here. Let's make everything visible. And the spike. Yeah, so has had to deal with. I want to kind of bring this spike a little bit earlier so that just text shows earlier.
To deal with some. Almost every successful person has had.
About right here. So now we're just gonna we just need to animate the text. So I'm gonna use the bounce effect or preset. Just drag it, put it onto our layer of text. Take up this icon right here, and just stretch this out to match the text or the audio clip.
Some degree of hardship.
Right here looks good. You can even.
Has had to deal with some degree of hardship.
Okay, that looks good, but we need to just change the position to be a little bit towards the right, left, I mean. And now what we want to do is add the other text, but now we have to add rotation, right? So what I'm going to do is just create another text. Let's listen to the audio clip first.
How successful you are is really a function. Degree of hardship. How successful you.
Okay, so this is the text that we're trying to recreate. How successful you are is a function of. How successful you are is a function of. You can see this one is a bit. Yeah, so this one stays like that. But this one, you have to crank it up in size and use something like. Let's see, let's take another look. Sorry. Is a function of. This is most likely light italic. So we're gonna, or super light, whatever it's called. So we're gonna copy that right now. Extra light italic. This is the one. Yeah. And now we're gonna separate these by a bit. crank the size of this one up, make this around like -30 or something, -50. Okay, bring this down. We can separate this a bit more in order to be able to crank this up in size. Separate these a bit more. Okay, I think now we have our text. So now we're just going to turn it into 3D. And what I'm going to do is just give it the position attributes of this one. So just click position, copy it, and go right here and paste it. So now both of these texts, if we go to camera view, are stacked on top of each other. They're just going to make it harder for us, or easier for us, to move it to its next position. The next position is literally just going to be like this. And we're going to rotate it towards the camera. Let's go about right here and just go around 80. Now if we go to camera view 1, we can see our text right here. So let's see if we can move this a bit. Right. Now we go to position, and with the Z value, we can move it a bit right here. Yeah, the camera adjustments and working with objects in 3D layers is just a matter of time. You might kind of just pause the video as much as you want, listen back to it as much as you want, and just give yourself time. You know, it takes a bit of time. Honestly, it does. So just give yourself a bit of time and just work, try to discover what every attribute does, and just give yourself time. You're going to learn it. Now, what we have to do is just pan the camera towards it. And for that, I prefer to use a null object. So I'm going to go camera 1. I don't know what I just created right here. There was a text layer, so we're going to delete that. And now our text is just visible. It's here the whole time. We just don't see it. So we just have to pan the camera towards it using a null object that we're going to name rotation 1. Okay, turn it into 3D. And now before we link everything to it, we have to adjust its position to be so I have to explain this really quickly. So when we're using a null object as a rotation, the rotation point, or the anchor point of the whole rotation, is gonna be the exact position of the layer. Now, if I go to, like, let's say I go to active camera 1 and I just link to this without adjusting the position, and I go to the Y rotation, I start rotating, it's gonna rotate off of its position, which is stacked on top of the Steve Jobs layer. This is, of course, not something that we want. So what I'm going to do is just untie it to the layer and adjust its position separately. What we want to do is give it the exact position of this text, because it's going to rotate off of it. Or, matter of fact, we're going to actually push it further away from the text. And if we do camera, let's actually see what's happening right here. Let's do front view. And I'll give it the exact Y value of this. And cool, now it looks good. I think it looks good. Go back to custom camera, right here. So now you can see that this pivot point is in the middle of this text and this text, so it can comfortably rotate between them. We can try for ourselves and see what happens. Now, after we've adjusted the position, we can link this zoom out to the rotation layer. We can go to active camera, right? Press R, boom. See, that looks so smooth. Now all we have to do is bring out the keyframes of this layer right here to see what's happening. Sorry. The keyframe seems to have gotten out of place, so we're just gonna bring it back right here. Right. But just this one. Right. I'm gonna pause for a second. Just pause a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so now we're just gonna bring up the keyframes of this one as a reference and listen to the audio too. Okay, so he says how successful you are about right here. What we're actually gonna do is kind of bring this out a bit, right? Just a bit. Let's take a look at it again, make sure we didn't do anything crazy.
Almost every successful person
Okay,
has had
that
to deal
looks
with
good.
some
That looks
degree of
good.
hardship.
We're gonna
How
create another
successful
keyframe for rotation right here, which is we're gonna start.
degree of hardship, how successful you are is really a function of how you deal with failure, and of how
Okay,
successful
so
you
about
are is
right here,
really
we're
a
gonna end it.
function of how
We're gonna bring this right here, bring this right here. And for the second keyframe, we're just gonna make a rotation, right? So something like this. Really easy to make. Boom. What we can do is go to our text and literally take a look at it at its rotation and make it the exact same in the camera movement so that the text is completely aligned. Or we can align the text to the camera movements, whichever one makes sense for you. I'm gonna readjust the text position to be much more visible. I think this looks good. And I like the text kind of poking out a bit to make, it just adds a bit of sauce to the animation. Let's make the graph something like this for the rotation. Take a look at it.
hardship, how
Okay, it's too
successful you are
aggressive.
is really a function of
Let's bring it right here. Let's see.
some degree of hardship. How successful you are is really a function of some degree of hardship. How successful you are is really a function. How successful you are is really a function
How you
of
deal
how
with
you
failure. So now we're gonna add our next text, which is how you deal with failure, right? So we're just gonna add another text and call it how you deal with failure. And yeah, so let's take a look. Let's take a look at our text, original text. Okay, so in order to create this, is really simple. This one is just gonna be great vibes, right? Crank it up a bit, make this 0, and failure is just gonna be extra light italic. So we're gonna leave it like that, and then crank up the size. Yeah, this is it. This is literally it. Now when we turn it into 3D, it's gonna take the original position of the 3D space. So it's gonna go all the way right here. What I wanna do is first bring it to the position of the second text, or the third text that's already rotated, and also give it the property of the rotation of this one. So it's gonna rotate as much as that text. And now what I can do is do another 80 degrees. So 80 plus 80 is 160. Now the text is looking a whole different direction. And what I can do is bring up camera view 1 and kind of form a square shape with all of these texts so that the camera can move towards it, right? So about right here, I think looks good. Let's see camera view 2, 3, maybe. Top. I really don't know which one to use, but this looks good, I guess. Let's just use this tool to kind of move. Let's see which one. Yeah, this one. So I think it looks good. Let's leave it like that. Okay, we can use. Now what we're gonna do is add another null object, right? And this one, if you're following me, is going to be called rotation 2. And now for this one, we're also going to turn it into 3D. And I'm going to let you guess what I'm going to do right now. Yes. So what I'm going to do is just get its position to be in the middle as this one. So we're just going to copy the value of position and put it right here. And now you can see the anchor point or the position of like the visual display of the null object's position moved into the center because we copied the value in this, which is already in the center. And now this one, if we move the Y rotation, go to active camera. If we move the Y rotation, we have to link it first. You can see that it's moving perfectly fine. We have one little problem, which is this showing, but we're going to take care of that really easily. Now, what I want to do is kind of, you can see, so look right here, you can see this panning towards it as it's going down because this text is downwards. So we can do that easily. Just bring the Y value and bring this up. And for the rotation number 2, so let's first create the keyframes, right? So let's see. Oh my God, what did I just do? So first we have to, yes, I think, right. So let's just turn this into 0 first and start creating keyframes. So now the keyframe, we'll look into that right now. The keyframe is going to be right here. Let's listen to the audio clip too. Is really a function
of how you are is really a function.
Grab this right here. How? So about right here, right? So Y, and then we're also going to add position. So add position, and then right here,
deal with failure well. If you
so about right here, we're going to add, or we're going to crank up rotation, and then bring this down until it meets the text in the middle, right? So bring it down until it meets the text in the middle. That looks really good. And then make the marker around right here. So when the text starts, how you deal with failure. Keep the marker right here because we're gonna need to know where that spot is. And then we're gonna grab this and make the spike aligned with the marker. So you can see right here what's happening. Let's see.
Really a function.
And now, in order to, let me get rid of the texts kind of showing above each other really quickly. So what I'm going to do is just has some degree of, let's first animate all the texts. So this one is going to, it's already animated, I think, this one. Yep, this one is already animated. Now we're going to animate this one, how successful is a function of, right, so just bring up fade upwards, whatever, literally whatever you want. And then just boom. Right here, bring up U. Press U, sorry, to bring up the keyframed properties.
Successful you are is really a function. Successful you are is really a function.
And now how you deal with failure. This one is gonna need a bounce effect. So bounce side fading. This is a preset animation of texts I made myself. It's really easy to make. I can make a video on that. Just let me know in the comments. Okay, so
you deal with failure. And
yeah, what I want to do is bring this all the way right here so that it shows a bit earlier, and crank up or stretch out the animation. And now what I want to do is just with the rotation, I can get these layers of text just kind of disappear as the others are showing, right? Or I can use, for example, I'll start with this one, has had to deal with some type of hardship. We're just gonna zoom out and take these little layers right here, right? And put them right, let's see. Let's actually put them right here. So I copied everything. What I'm gonna do is time reverse these keyframes. So now they're reversed in time. We're gonna make the animation a lot more compact. So what you can see right now is this animation. Let's bring this keyframe right here. And this animation is gonna take everything off of its place. Like kind of they're being animated out, right? So let's see. Oh, let's see. Something
has had to deal with some degree of hardship. How successful you are.
Yeah, that's not showing because the layer is not showing that much, but it's taking the layer out of the frame. We could have just did it with opacity because the layer is not visibly going out of frame. So we don't have to make it aesthetic. But for this one, I think it will matter. So for this one, it's going to be like this. Time reverse keyframes, make it a bit more compact. And now, boom, you can see the layers kind of going out of frame. And this one doesn't have anything to bother it, this layer, because the first one was already taken out. So the first one was right here. Let's see. Yeah, so the first one was right here. And now where the camera pans to this one was kind of obstructing the vision on the line of sight. And we just deleted it. That's basically what was happening, just for you guys to understand. And now what I want to do is add some glow to this. Before we add glow, we're going to add this effect right here. So boom. This is showing as a mask. So we're going to click on the void and retrace our shape. Of course, make the fill white or the stroke white, and delete the fill. And we can go to the properties of our thing right here. Oh my God, I hate when this happens. Okay, see, it's just After Effects, bro. Okay, let's just go with animation. I think this looks better. So for our little shape right here, we're just gonna call it Underline. And if we turn it into 3D, it's gonna go into its 3D position. We can fix that by just bringing P out and rotation, copy both of these values and paste them right here. And you can see it instantly got into frame. We can kind of bring it right here and stretch this out by a bit to be fully visible. Right. And now we're just gonna use trim paths to animate it. So go right here, add, and then trim paths. And we're gonna start animating the end value, this one. So let's see. As this one is animating, the failure text is animating, we're gonna add another keyframe, or a keyframe for 0 end value. And then about right here, it's gonna go at 100. Make the graph smooth at the end, something like this. Okay.
How you deal with failure.
Actually make it smooth enough, like start as well. So
of how you deal with function of how you deal with function of how you deal with failure. Of how you deal with failure. You are is really a function.
Okay, that looks good.
How you deal
now I'm just gonna
failure.
add the glow to both of these layers. So we're just gonna go right here, type in glow, add it to the text first. Crank it up a bit, make it about right here. 0.8 looks good. And we're gonna copy this glow effect and post it to the shape. And now we have this right here. What we need to do right now is add this skull effect. So I have the image right here. I'm just gonna take it, go to failure, and go to this one skull and take it right here. Put it exactly right here. And I want its position. So I turn it into 3D, it disappears. I want its position and rotation to be the exact same as our text and our shape layer. We're gonna copy it and we're gonna paste it, and boom, it's there. Now, what I want to do is scale this down a little bit, maybe. Position it towards the bottom a bit more. Actually, I'm going to leave the scale at 100. And then we're just going to add our effects. So we're going to add lumetri color. This is a really good effect if you're trying to merge things together. I recommend cranking down a value to see what type of effect that gives you. I think I'm going to leave this at 65. Add some noise and some Venetia blinds. So about 20 looks good. delete the color, uncheck that box, and then Venetian blinds. We're gonna make this a value of 6. Whatever angle you want, you can make it 90 degrees, or you can leave it like this. This one is gonna be just 6 for me, and in the feather, I'm gonna make it 3. So if we zoom in, you can see the before and after that effect adds. It's not that much. If we go to full, you can see the lines kind of coming in and out, right? Now what I'm gonna add is just, I think, a glow effect. That's all we need. So glow, and for the intensity, make it 0.7, and let's go to 100 and see what that does. Boom. We can, if you want only the bright spots to be glowed, you can crank up the, the threshold and kind of make the intensity a bit more. That looks really good. I think, yeah, I'll just leave that. I'll just leave it like this. So this is the before and after. Boom. Now, this looks really good, but I need to add an animation for the skull coming in because I don't want it to be like always right there. So about right here, when the failure text is fully there, when the shape is animating, right? I'm gonna click on scale, put a scale right here, and then go about like half a second, put another keyframe for scale, go to the first one and make it literally 0. F9Ds and go right here and push this towards the right. Now we're just gonna click the stopwatch and copy our little expression. Boom. So that looks good, but if you don't want that, you want it to be like a bit paper, like Vox style, whatever. They add this effect quite a bit. I've seen it in multiple occasions. What it does is just slows down the frame rate, so you can see. And boom.
Deal with failure. And
now this is it for our first scene. We're gonna go to the next scene. Okay, so welcome back again, guys. Now we're gonna work on our second scene. So let's go to our real audio and just see where we're gonna start our second scene.
If almost every success, if you deal with failure.
Okay, let's start it right here. So when he says F, that's exactly when we're gonna start it. So we're just gonna select this last layer right here and select the last one while holding Shift, and it's gonna select everything between them and just bring this right here to kind of match the start of our next scene. And now we're just gonna bring the picture. So let's go to our, I'm just gonna pull up my reference. Okay, so now we have our reference. Let's just look at the first frame of our second scene. So you can see it's just this and it zooms out. So let's first kind of compose our scene. So first we have this picture right here, right? Just trim it right here so you can see what's happening. Yeah, just if I always remember that I'm working with beginners a lot of times in my tutorials, so I have to point this out. So if I do this, right, this guy, if I go like put it into 3D, this guy is gonna start moving with the first scene, right? Because it extends over this area where we have a camera control in that area, right? So this camera is controlling this layer. What I want to do is always bring my marker right here to see what's going on, right? And of course, that's just to kind of know what's happening. But the ideal thing to do each time you're bringing stuff into your second scene is to just trim it to that scene, right? So for me, I trimmed it right here, not to appear in this scene right here. Boom. So that's just something that you might get confused on when you're just starting out. You think, why this is moving with my first scene? That's why. It's always good to like know the root of the causes. But yeah, so we have our picture right here. What we're gonna do is add this picture right here, turn it also into 3D, and we're gonna do the same for it. Go to this part right here, and we're just gonna scale it down and kind of bring it right here above his eye. R to bring up rotation and turn the Z rotation into -16 maybe. And now go to position again. Boom. Let's zoom in to see what's going on. Make it full. Okay, that looks good. Go back to third. And now what I want to do is just get this error layer and parent it to the person. Boom. See, now when I kind of scale it up, it just scales up with it. Great. Now what I want to do is bring, yeah, I don't have to bring anything. I'm just going to add a solid by Control Y. Hold down Control, press Y. And now turn it into 3D also and do the same for it. Let's just trim it down too. Never forget this step just to, you know, make sure. Boom. Okay, now this solid layer right here, we're going to actually get its opacity down by a bit to see what's going on. We're going to kind of bring this mask right here and just mask out this spot right here. So let's see. Right. So something like this. Boom. Now it's masked out. Let's turn the opacity back up. And for the mask, we're going to press M to bring it out. We can just invert it. Boom. That's it. That's literally it. Now, what I'm going to do in order to add some depth of field is to just select both of these. P to bring out position and push them backwards by a very large margin. Right, so let's actually take a look at the P position of this. So it's at 0, the default position. Now both of these are going to have to go like 200 in value or 250 pixels in a z-axis. That's something that's reasonable. And then we're going to just push up scale to make sure they don't, you know, we don't show any black spaces. Now what I'm going to do is this appears to have gotten extremely small, or maybe just kind of got behind the layer. I don't know what happened, but we're gonna scale it back up and then P, let's see. Okay, so it has to be right here, I guess. So if we put it at 0, let's see. See, it just okay, let's put it at 0. I don't know why that's happening, but we're just not gonna, oh, I know it's happening. Okay, so it's parented to this, and yeah, we could have just moved this one alone. So because this is parented, it's being impacted 2 times, like by its own position and by the position of this one. I know what's happening now. Okay, so let's just fix the problem by just scaling up individually, and now our picture is ready. So by adding that depth of field, by creating a gap in the z-axis, what we did was, now we have like a 3D scene. See, when we move this, the objects interact with each other kind of in a really cool way. I'm gonna call this zoom out. And if we bring up position, put this on this, we can see that, you know, the objects are kind of moving in a, this is acting like a window, right? I can make this effect more obvious by doing this. So I can bring this towards the camera even more and scale it down, right? Scale it down. What I can also do is scale it up actually and delete the mask. So I'm just gonna delete the mask and then bring up opacity again and bring the mask and create another mask. So now because I scaled it up, or you know, just played around with the scale, I have to remask it again. So make sure you have the proper scale before you do that in order not to, you know, keep coming back around. So now you see the effect is a bit more, the parallax effect is a bit more pronounced. Now if I go to this one and scale it up a bit, that'll look a lot more satisfying because we're not going to have any black spaces. And boom, we just created a good, a really good parallax effect. Now what I'm going to do is, of course, this camera is going to be, if it extends over this one, then it's going to start controlling the first scene. So we're going to, boom, bring it right here, bring the mode object. Doesn't really matter, doesn't do anything, but we still have to bring it in order to, you know, achieve a good organization. Bring this right here. And now what we're going to do is, just for the first frame, we have to zoom in on the object and make it the only thing visible. Ooh, I just noticed something. So let's see. Kind of have to scale this down by a bit or scale this up. One of the two. Okay, so let's scale this up. Boom. So the first frame is just going to be this, literally just this. We can scale this up a bit more to kind of have the face in the middle, or more towards the middle. Now we're just going to create a keyframe. Okay, so about right here, we're going to add another keyframe where everything kind of zooms out. Now the scale was a bit too, I added it a little bit too much. Now let's see what's happening right here. Let's kind of scale it down until we can see the black space, or we can't see it. So make it just so that it's just enough. Boom. And now I think our parallax effect is really coming into place. What I'm going to do now is just boom, F9, and then do this. So let's see what's happening.
If you deal with failure well.
Good, if you deal with failure well. Now the zoom out is going to go to our text. So we're going to readjust that later, but first we're going to create our text. So he says, if you deal with failure, let's see how we wrote that in our reference. So if you deal with failure well, with failure well. So all of this is going to be in that same font, but this one is going to be great vibes. Crank this up in scale, but both of these are going to be, yeah, so let's just scale everything, make everything the same scale, and then get this up a bit. Boom, now we're going to get everything to be at 0 in terms of this option right here, and then bring everything closer to each other using this one. And now what we're going to do is turn this into a 3D object and get it above the solid by giving it its position and dropping it down a bit. And now we can just scale this down, go 50, P, and in the y-axis, just push it up right here. Now in a zoom out animation, we're going to go to the second keyframe and just kind of make this the main focus of the image. Right, that looks good. Okay, but now we're going to duplicate this and make our second text, which says, let's see, and you persist. So it's going to be, and you persist. We're going to push it towards the, oh my god, that's happening. And you persist. Let's just push it towards upwards. And let's modify it again. And you persist. So this one is going to be great vibes. I really like this font. I use it a lot. About 200. And just push it down. And now we're going to push it up in scale. And what I'm going to do is, so let's bring the keyframes of this one right here, and we called it zoom out, I think. Yeah, so we're gonna add another null object, and this one is going to be called zoom in, I think, but which is, or y swipe. Y swipe means that we're going to do a little swipe in the y-axis. That's how I name my stuff to kind of remember it. I'm just gonna connect this to this, and now we have control over this object. We have access to it from this null object, and we're just gonna kind of overlap these two animations. This one is gonna be, let's first make sure, okay, good. Now let's add a keyframe right here, and first set it, the second one, this spot is gonna be in the middle, and it's going to show and you persist, show the second text, right? So for this one, it's not really going to be showing. We're just going to kind of crank this up by a bit more, right? Not in this one, in this one. So crank it up a bit more. And now let's see what happens.
If you deal with failure well and you persist, you have a high.
And you persist. Now this one is going to be
persist.
So when he says persist, the animation is gonna spike up. Let's see how that looks. Okay, everything's in place. Now let's see how that looks. Bring this right here.
If you deal with failure well,
actually, I'm gonna do this right here. I don't like how this is looking, so I'm gonna push this even more.
If you deal with failure well.
Let's actually push it right here.
If you deal with failure well.
I don't like that either. Maybe this.
If you deal with failure well and you persist, you're
okay. Let's make it just a little more relaxed.
If you deal with failure well and you persist, you're
okay. I'm gonna leave it like that. But what I'm gonna do now is animate the text. So if you deal with failure well,
with failure well and you persist.
So about from right there to right here, we're gonna just add preset, whatever preset you want. I'm gonna add this one. Bounce, side, fade in. Add it right here and add it for this one too. Select both of them, press U to bring up keyframes. And for this one,
deal with failure well.
I'm just gonna stretch it out until I can't see failure. Until it's like almost coming in, like this, I think.
If you deal with failure well and you persist.
Great. Now, and you persist, sorry. And now we're just gonna do the same for and you persist. So the second text.
Persist, high probability. Persist.
So about right here.
Failure well, and you persist. And you persist. And you persist. You persist. You're
really struggling here, but I think this is good. This looks good. Now, what I want to do is add, I think I have a texture right here. Yes, so I'm going to add it to our white solid. Turn it to 3D. Bring up position. So let's look at the Z axis. Give it to this one. And then crank up the size quite a bit. Bring up rotation. Make it 90 so that it fulls or covers the whole image. And now I'm just going to mask this one with it so that it only covers that. And then what I'm going to do is turn this into multiply. Right. And then let's see. Let's see. Okay, so multiply doesn't work. I think we're just going to kind of scroll. Let's see. So control and then no, not that. Control shift. Yeah. So shift and then press either minus or plus on your keyboard to switch between blending modes. So I think multiply is gonna work best, but it doesn't hurt to try everything. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with multiply, I guess. So multiply, and then what I'm having right here is, let's see. So I actually don't know what's happening right here. So this layer that it's being, let's see. So I masked this one to it. Let's delete the mask, see what happens then. Wow. So, this is just, oh, so I realized what's happening. It just took out the thing right here. So sometimes I forget this happens. Yeah, when you mask stuff to other layers, the layer just disappears. So I just click this button right here. Pretty sure you know that. I do too, but I seem to forget it, to have forgotten it, whatever. Now we can bring opacity down. I'm actually really, I'm still kind of figuring out what to do here, because we can add an effect called curves. I bet that'll help us, because we want to kind of make it more pronounced, but at the same time, we don't want it to take over the space or the color. So we're gonna bring everything towards right here and then bring it. Let's see. Right, this is the effect I'm trying to achieve. So we're gonna do this, but I'm gonna add lumetri color and then completely take off the color by bringing the saturation into 0. And then what I can do is add an effect called vignette. So this really works well. In these situations, I can copy it and maybe add it to the white solid instead. Good. And now the center is going to be right here. Boom. Bring the center down a bit. Maybe push it back a bit. And just play with the amount until I achieve something that I want. And actually, I'm gonna bring opacity down a bit more. Something like, yeah, something like this. So now this looks good for me, but of course you can change it. Yeah, this looks good. And you persist. And now when I go back, I have to zoom in again. So what I'm gonna do is, let's select first all of these and get them to their original position. Paper texture as well, so it doesn't extend over our second scene or first scene. And now we're just gonna add another object or no object, call it second zoom in. This one is gonna be the last no object for camera. So also give it a trim. Connect this to this, and if we take a look, there's gonna be, okay, so there's like a space right here gonna fill. Great. Right. Now, if we take a look at this, let's actually bring this up, the Y swipe. So as this one is ending,
you have a high probability. You have a high probability.
so about right here, we're gonna go position, add a keyframe. So about right here, we're gonna have another keyframe, and this one is just gonna be a zoom in, and we're gonna zoom in about like 1,000 frames, right? So just
some degree of
something like
hardship.
this. I mean 1,000, so 3 zeros. And then what we're gonna do is make this bit like this and like this, and then we're just gonna start adding Leonardo DiCaprio's along with newspaper pictures. So let's first add the first one, clapping. I guess this one. We can add this newspaper, and of course the newspapers are completely unrelated. So
almost every successful.
I'll just say, you know, you can turn these into a pre-composition. Call it first newspaper, and give them like a little color. Click on them. Turn them into 3D, and then bring the image of Leonardo DiCaprio. Let's first give it a bit of a low opacity, and then bring up position, and position it in the middle right here, and then scale it down by quite a bit. Let's move in to see what's happening, and then you can press Control while sliding these attributes to achieve a more accurate, get more accurate control. This kind of slows everything down. Let's add a bit of scale. Let's give it 100% opacity. See how that's looking. Maybe turn it into full. Okay, that looks good. Now what I'm gonna do when I achieve this effect is, after I achieve this effect, I just bring the opacity or the this right here, and then just parent it to this one. Now if I bring the scale of this one, okay, so I'm glad I made that mistake so I can show you. So we don't want to parent this one to this one. We actually want to parent this one to this one, so that when I scale this, everything scales from the pivot point of this one right here. So you can see how I'm scaling. The picture or the newspaper is following the picture and not the contrary. We don't want the picture following the newspaper, because the picture is going to be the main focus of the zoom in animation. So now what I'm going to do is just turn this into 3D, and sorry, what exactly is happening right here? Yeah, so yeah, that's what should happen. But what I'm going to do right now is just give this the position of this failure image right here, this one. So just take the position of this one and copy it right here. And now I can just push it a bit backwards. So I can push it backwards by like, it was at 250. I can push it back by like 250, another 250. So that it's going to be at 500, right? And then we're going to just create another, I think I'm going to speed up this process, but we're going to just create 2 more newspapers with the same effect. Go to the second or the first composition, turn this layer into 3D, and I'm going to bring up position and give it another 200 extra. So this one is going to be, I think, so it's going to be 750. Boom. So it's pushed back again. That looks good. That looks good. Okay. Go back. And now this one is, we're going to copy the position of the last one and paste it right here and add another 250. And now it's going to be at 1,000, right? So if we actually take a look at what's happening, we can kind of trim both of these down. You can see as the camera is zooming in, we can turn this off. So let's turn this off. This one. Right. So we have this one, and then we zoom in a bit more. And this one, we have this one after it, and this one after it. And then this one. See? So they're kind of zooming out as the camera is panning towards them. So in order to, let's kind of just stack them on top of each other. Let's actually see the effect, what's happening. So if we take a look at what's happening, we have this panning towards the right. Yeah, panning towards the right, and then another one coming after it. So, right. So let's just have this move towards the right around this area right here. So let's bring up the image and just go P. Put around right here. And now around right here, this is going to be completely out of frame. This is going to go boom. And make a graph like this, make it slow at the end. So something like this. And then what we can do is add an expression called posterize time again, so that it kind of moves out in a paper animation. So let's see. Oh, that's not happening. Okay, so what we're going to do is add a semicolon and add value, add another semicolon. That's going to fix the problem. Right. That tends to fix the problem a lot of times. So just add that if you encounter the same problem. Now, in order to make sure we're not kind of just throwing things around when it comes to this, we're going to just bring this anchor point in the middle of the picture before we do anything. And now we're going to go press P and bring this one in the middle, scale it up by a bit, and go P, bring it right here. And now what we're going to do is, let's see, boom, that one is apparent, really good. And now what we're going to do is, let's see. So about right here, it's gonna kind of go away from the picture, right? Let's actually scale it down by a little bit. That's too much. So what I'm gonna do right here is, for it to appear, I'm gonna add a little keyframe, right? So about right here, it's gonna appear. About right here, it's gonna kind of appear. And right here, it's gonna be at 0 frames per second, or 0 scale. And right here is gonna appear, so let's see. Right, so it's a bit aggressive, but we're gonna add an expression for bounce. Press the stopwatch, just paste your expression.
Ability of being successful. Ability of being successful.
Let's actually scale this down by quite a bit. I find it very obnoxious the way it's kind of moving in.
Ability of being successful.
Let's F9 this, and what we're gonna do is just go to the second keyframe and give it all the power. See how that's kind of
being successful.
Kind of moving in.
Ability of being successful.
Okay, that looks good. And now what I'm gonna do is add the same animation for all these keyframes. So we're gonna press U to bring up scale on this one and overlap all of them together. So as this one is coming in, let's first make this one pan out of the picture. Boom. So as it's kind of bouncing, we want it to go away. So about right here, it's gonna pan out of the picture, and then boom, let's see the first one.
You have a high probability of being successful.
Okay, so let's actually move this a bit more. And then let's just keyframe both of these and give it this graph right here. And now as this one is panning out, this one is going to scale up in size. So about right here, this one is going to be in full scale. And about right here, actually push this one a bit, about right here is going to be 0 in scale. And we're going to give it the same graph and also give it an expression. So boom. Let's try the expression, see how that looks. Good, good. But you can see that I made a mistake right here. I don't know if you noticed, but I didn't change the anchor point. So now if I try to change it, I hope that doesn't mess up anything. Right, good. I was really lucky to have that happen, but sometimes it messes up everything when you change the anchor point mid animation. So what I'm going to do is scale this up a bit. Let's see what happens now.
Successful.
Ooh, it's kind of... I don't like when the animation is that aggressive, so...
Successful.
Ooh, that's too much. That's too much. So the bounce animation, we're going to kind of make it a bit less apparent. So just push this. Right, that looks a bit better. Let's actually push it right here. Okay, that's much better. Now we're going to go to the second one. And for this one, we're just going to pan this one to the left as we did with everything. So about right here, it's going to go out of frame. Give it the same graph, right? About right here. And then what we're going to do is bring this one. So about right here, it's going to start scaling up. So boom. And then boom. It's going to go full scale. Bring position right here. And let's now change the anchor point to be right here. Let's see how that scales down. Oh, we haven't added any scale frames. So, oh, we have. But it's not scaling down because, yeah, we have to add 0 right here. So let's see what happens now. Get this right here. And then give it an expression also. Let's see what we have.
You persist, you have a high probability of being successful.
Ooh, that's not very synced. So what I'm going to do is, you can see this animation is way to the left right here. And these are kind of just on top of each other. So this one, we're going to bring this one right here, stretch it out by a bit, and bring this one all the way right here. Let's see.
Being successful.
Ooh, yeah. So now we have everything in perspective. We can kind of just play around with these until we achieve the desired result. So let's see. This one is coming in as this one is panning out. I want this one to start panning out as it's coming in or bouncing. Boom. This one starts coming in. So about right here. Boom. And it starts coming out or panning towards the right. And then this one comes in at about this rate right here. Let's see.
Ability of being successful.
Boom, that looks better. And now what I'm going to do is go to position or scale or both of them and just add posterized time. You can add that. Let's first show our little expression. So right here, we can go before our expression and add posterized time and see how that impacts our animation. So let's just copy this expression right here and add it to this right here. And also this last one right here. We can add it to the position as well, but it's whatever. So now the bouncy animation is going to be a little bit low in FPS.
Being successful.
Boom, that's the effect we're trying to achieve. Really good. Now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to leave it like that. And what I'm going to do is just add a bit of glow. So go to effects and presets. Add glow, or we can copy just the CC, the color correction of this layer right here. I've actually added a lot of effects to it. Oh, we haven't. This one, the skull. Yes, this one. We can copy it, add it to this one. We didn't copy it, I guess. What the hell is that? Yeah. I don't know what that was, but we're just gonna carry on. Failure image. So copy this right here, and you can see everything is a bit more aggressive for some reason. Let's get this to full and start playing around until we achieve something that works for this particular image. We can add glow. I think 1.5 is gonna be best for this. So 1.5. Let's get the threshold to 60. No. This actually looks a lot better. So we're gonna leave it at that and add this effect to all of these layers. So these newspaper layers. So this one. Let's see how they're looking and kind of adjust every single one by itself. So this third one right here is not looking really good. We're gonna start by it. Let's see. Bring the glow value down to 0.5. Looks good. Okay, so this is the second one. How is it looking? Maybe the noise is too much, but we're still gonna just play around with the value of the glow and see what that does. Good, I think 0.5 is gonna be the go-to for all of them. So let's add it to this one as well. 0.5. 0.7 might work for this one. Okay, that looks good. That looked good actually. And you can add some paper effects to these paper layers, but it's okay. Now, what I want to do is add a transition layer right here. I'm gonna call it. I'm just gonna get an adjustment layer. Call it exposure, and what I'm gonna add to it is just exposure. Right. I'm gonna make a transition using exposure. This transition is going to be like a replication of the camera flashlight, essentially. So just crank this up until everything's white. Around this value is cool. Around 5, I think. Yeah, 5 looks good. Or maybe 8. Let's see. Right, this looks good. Give it a keyframe and go about like 1 second forward or 1.5 seconds. And turn the exposure into 0. So literally nullifying the effect. And then boom. Easy ease. And then get the graph something like this. Let's get the quality low a bit so you can see what's happening. Now what I'm gonna do is just make this animation a lot faster. Okay, so now this flash effect really coming into place, but it's really essential for these effects, the effects like these, to add sound effects. So I suggest that you add sound effect, like the camera flash sound effect. You can find it on multiple sites for free, and just add it whenever you're like work on your final render. Before you render everything, just add it. Make sure you do. Okay, so I think our real look is looking good. We don't have to add anything else, but if I remember anything after, I'm gonna come back and talk to you guys about it. I think this is something that we have to change right now. So you can see this texture layer. You have to it has to extend until this spot right here, so it shows. So what I'm going to do is just look for it right here, paper texture, and then add a bit of scale to it. Good. Now I'm just going to render this and see how it looks. So yeah, guys, this is it for the tutorial. I'm just going to render this and see how it looks. Thank you so much for watching. If you want anything, let me know in the comments below, and you're going to find all the assets in the description. Thank you so much.